Gym Leaders, some of the most iconic characters across the Pokemon franchise, from character designs, personalities, and even different theming in their gyms. But the one thing that each gym leader has in common that is not unique to each character is the battle music. While every Pokemon game has its own battle theme that plays during the gym leader fights, it's the same song that plays for every gym leader. But what if each gym leader had their own unique battle theme? That will be the challenge of this video, where I try to make original battle music while utilizing the letters to notes methodology, where we repeat the alphabet across the musical notes A through G. We can take any name or word, spell it out on the piano, and turn it into a melody. We can then take multiple melodies and combine them to create one full song. So in this video, we will be exploring all 8 gym leaders within the Johto region, incorporating their names, locations, gym badges, Pokemon teams, and epithets. Let's get started with our first gym leader, Falkner. He is the Violet City gym leader specializing in flying-type Pokemon. He is known as the Elegant Master of Flying Pokemon, and upon defeat, hands out the Zephyr badge. His Pokemon team consists of Pidgey and Pidgeotto. I will only be utilizing the teams that each character has upon the first encounter of that gym leader. So while they all have rematch teams in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, we will not be exploring those team compositions. Falkner is known to have a cool demeanor and even has a bit of a competitive side to him. Honestly, he kind of gives me some Sasuke vibes. But combined with his visual aesthetic, I decided to give him a Japanese punk song, utilizing a mix of guitars, drums, and bass with shamisen, flute, and taiko drums. I will also be naming each of these song titles based on the name of their badge. So without further ado, this is Falkner's original battle theme called Zephyr. The second gym leader of the Johto region is Bugsy. He is the Azalea Town Gym Leader who specializes in bug-type Pokemon. He is known as the Walking Bug Pokemon Encyclopedia, and upon defeat, hands out the Hive Badge. His Pokemon team consists of Metapod, Kakuna, and Scyther. Since Bugsy has a very Boy Scout aesthetic, I really wanted to lean into that type of vibe with his song. What would you even call that? Like Boy Scout rock? Boy Scout core? I don't really know. I guess this song is going to sound like a march more than anything, but I really like the idea of Boy Scout rock. So we're just gonna go with that. Oh man, there's a lot to say about this one. So you're often going to hear a lot of call and response moments happening between the flute and the horns. Really leaned into the vibe of, I don't know what I've been told, I don't know what I've been told. Yeah, just like that. Now, something I often do is create these songs live on stream. Not only does the chat get to see the creative process, but they also get to participate in creating the song with me by giving me ideas in the chat. And one idea I want to point out was that we decided to go for Bugsy for the chorus. So just a little shout out to my community for helping me come up with some ideas during my live streams. Without further ado, this is Bugsy's original battle theme called Hive. Next up, we have Whitney. She is the Goldenrod City Gym Leader who specializes in normal-type Pokemon. She is known as the Incredibly Pretty Girl, and upon defeat, hands out the Plain Badge. Her Pokemon team consists of Clefairy and her very infamous Miltank. Now, there were a couple of directions we could have taken for Whitney's song. We could have done country, or maybe pop, or maybe a mix of the two of a country pop song. But what I ended up landing on was a genre called Kawaii Future Bass, maybe sometimes also known as hyperpop or bubblegum pop. Snail's House was my main inspiration, but obviously tried to make it a little bit more upbeat and more of a battle theme. But I felt like this style really matched Whitney's personality. I actually kind of struggled with this song at first. Sometimes trying to create a catchy melody while being limited to the letters to notes methodology can be quite difficult and challenging. I discovered that I tend to make melodies start on the downbeats of measures, but something just wasn't sitting quite right with me when I did that for Whitney's theme. Eventually, I landed on the idea of taking the first 3 letters of her name and making that a pickup into the downbeat. That opened up a whole new change of perspective for me of this song, and now I'm so happy with how it came out, especially because I'm not necessarily familiar with creating Kawaii future-based music. I also end up using a lot of octave work on this song too. While you may only see a small range visually on the screen, all octaves are implied in the letters to notes methodology. Oh, and one last thing. I decided to add the word rollout into this song since Whitney's Milk Tank is infamous for crushing the hopes and dreams of many trainers, including myself, using this move. Let me know in the comments if you've struggled fighting against Whitney's Milk Tank when playing through this game. And while you type that out, enjoy listening to Whitney's original battle theme called Plane. The 4th gym leader of the Johto region, Morty. He is the gym leader of Eclectic City and specializes in ghost-type Pokemon. He is known as the Mystic Seer of the Future, and upon defeat, hands out the Fog Badge. His Pokemon team consists of Ghastly, 2 Haunters, and a Gengar. I always thought he had a Mischievous, but maybe I'm just thinking of the Pokemon Adventures manga. Naturally, since he's a Ghost-type trainer, I wanted to make this song sound a little spooky, but since he leans more into the future sight, fortune teller kind of vibe, I wanted to also make it sound mystical. So I guess we can describe this song as spooky synthwave. Or maybe spookwave? Yeah, let's go with spookwave. It's kind of hard to label these songs. What are genres anyway? You mix and match styles into each other and they start to blur the lines. You could even say it just becomes one big fog, which happens to be the name of his song. Enjoy. Up next, we have Chuck. He is the gym leader of Cianwood City and specializes in fighting-type Pokemon. The epithet that he is known for is, quote, his roaring fists do the talking. And upon defeat, he gives you the Storm Badge. His Pokemon team only consists of 2 Pokemon, Primeape and Poliwrath. So when you hear the word fighting spelled out in this song, you may actually recognize that melody from my original battle theme that I created for Bruno in my Elite Bound Kanto series. Whenever there are certain words or names that appear across this entire project, I do my best to try to make them sound the same or at least very consistent within each other. I like the idea of building this continuity of melodies and motifs across the Bound series, which I'm realizing I haven't even talked about in this video yet, but some of you may already be familiar with some of my albums and EPs that I've recently released least, between Badge-bound Kanto, Elite-bound Kanto, and Legend-bound Kanto. Naturally, the 8 songs featured in this video will be in an album called Badge-bound Johto. And you'll be able to find this album on my Bandcamp, actually right now. It should be available right now. And you can even download my full discography over on Bandcamp with a 25% discount. That basically gives you an EP and a half for free. But so many of you have supported me by downloading my music, and I really appreciate it. It really does help and allow me to continue doing this series for you guys. So without further ado, this is Chuck's original battle theme called Storm. Ooh, next up we have Jasmine. She is the gym leader of Olivine City and specializes in Steel-type Pokemon. Her epithet is the Steel-clad Defense Girl, and upon defeat, hands you the Mineral Badge. Her Pokemon team consists of 2 Magnemites and her infamous Steelix. I also wanted to include Olivine, Lighthouse, and Anthe into this song, since that is pretty important in finding her and bringing her to her gym. Now, there's something really interesting that happened with Jasmine's song. We kind of have a little mini motif happening with a lot of these words having the letters I-N-E in them. Jasmine, mineral, olivine. To be silly, you can pronounce it olivine, jasmine, mineral. Dumb, but anyways. But aside from them all having similar letters, they all actually have 7 letters in each word. Jasmine has 7 letters, olivine has 7 letters, mineral has 7 letters. And also with my choruses usually being the name and the type, so in this case, Jasmine and Steel, the word Steel has 5 letters and Badge has 5 letters. So I don't know, this discovery just kind of made me really lean into the amount of letters that are happening in all of these words to kind of create similar motifs and rhythms within this song. You'll see what I mean once you listen to it. So I often create community posts on YouTube to ask you guys what style or genre each trainer should have. And many of you said you wanted Jasmine to have like a heavy metal theme while also having sound effects and instruments that really emphasize the steel typing. And I think we did a decent job at that. I feel like the song didn't go as heavy metal as I originally wanted it to be, but after discovering all the words and letter connections that I was just talking about, I feel like the song ended up more as like a heavy rock or alternative rock, and there's actually a little riff in this song that may sound familiar to you. Comment down below if you think you can figure out what I took inspiration from. But with all that being said, here is Jasmine's original theme song called Mineral. The 7th Johto Gym Leader, Pryce. He is the gym leader of Mahogany Town and is an expert in Ice-type Pokemon. He is known as the Teacher of Winter's Harshness, and upon defeat, gives you the Glacier Badge. His Pokemon team consists of Seal, Dugong, and Piloswine. So Pryce was interesting because originally going into it, because he's just this old man, I was thinking the song was going to end up going a little bit more ragtime or maybe classical, something along those lines. But after reading more about his personality and his story about how he has suffered over the years, combined with his Ice-type specialty, I really wanted to try to tell a story with this song. So again, I don't really know what genre I should say this song really is. It's some sort of rock, but it's hard to really define it. I guess you could say that I started eventually taking some inspiration from the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, but still maybe not nearly as heavy as some of their songs. Maybe I'll just call this Christmas rock, I don't really know. But as the song grows, the story I try to portray is that he reminisces about the good times and is talking about his history and his past life, but then tragedy strikes and he loses the people or Pokemon that he loves, and now he's standing here facing you in this gym battle, having suffered many years, has come to terms with his suffering and his life, and is still standing strong and is ready to take you head on. Try to imagine that as you listen to Pryce's original battle theme called Glacier. The final gym leader of the Badge-Bound Johto album, Clair. She is the Blackthorn City gym leader who specializes in Dragon-type Pokemon. She is known as the blessed user of Dragon Pokemon, and upon defeat, gives you the Rising Badge. For her Pokemon team, Clair is actually the only one out of all the gym leaders who has a slight change going from Gold, Silver, and Crystal to Heart Gold and Soul Silver. In the original games, she had 3 Dragonairs and a Kingdra, but in the remakes, one of her Dragonairs gets replaced with a Gyarados. So 1 Gyarados, 2 Dragonair, and 1 Kingdra. I decided to incorporate both iterations of her Pokemon teams. I also incorporated the words Dragon's Den into the song as well, since Clair crashes out after you defeat her and she refuses to accept her defeat unless you pass through the test in the Dragon's Den. Clair is also the cousin to the champion Lance, and while there's not going to be any cousin motif happening, I did try to make her song sound a little similar to Lance's theme called Virtually Indestructible. We're not exactly going full-on power metal again. I guess I'll define this song as Japanese metal, since we do go a little heavy here while also incorporating the shamisen and the flute. That felt fitting for someone who is a dragon-type trainer. Okay, here is Clair's original battle theme called Rising. And there you have it, Badge-Bound Johto complete. To be honest, I actually think Whitney's theme is still my favorite of the bunch. But what about you? Let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. And once again, you can find Badge-Bound Johto over on my Bandcamp as well as the rest of my music. You can download the full discography for a 25% discount. And if you aren't familiar with the previous projects that I did, then you can click on this video to see where it all began with Badge-Bound Kanto. Thanks for watching!